good morning, everyone, and welcome to the last part of this webinar series. I'm so glad you all could make it. And yeah, I still notice some people are joining. Okay. Um, so, people who have been here since the beginning of this series, part 1 and 2, I talked about um, what freshman year. So the first part was what freshman students and sophomore students can do right now in terms of their college application overall. So we talked in great detail about the timeline that they should be keeping in mind and what they can do currently with regards to their academics, what they can do with regards to their extracurricular activities, and how to generally just plan the timeline so that they don't miss out on any opportunities. In the second part, I discussed what juniors and seniors can do right now, which will culminate to a very successful college application. Again, we talked about in terms of the timeline, we talked about what they can do, how to really plan the summer, and how they can apply to various programs. I answered a number of questions that were sent in from you before the webinars started, and also live in the session, I answered a bunch of questions. So this is a little bit of a recap, and I'm so glad you all are here today with me. This session is open to all the students who've not yet applied for their colleges. And today I'm really going to talk about how you can stand out in your college applications. Now, by no means, I don't mean to say that it has to be curated. You have to fake things or, talk about things that you're not interested in. I don't mean that, but with whatever you have, right? How you can really use your grades and your your extracurriculars, everything else, how you can really use it to project a very successful college applications, which aligns with your goals, which also aligns with the goals of the university or the college that you're applying to. So today, since we're specifically trying to understand how to make sure a student can have an exceptional application or profile that truly demonstrates what they are motivated about and at the same time aligns with their goals. Okay, so broadly, this is what we all know, that these are the components of your college application. There is your academics, which includes your grades, your AP scores, the overall rigor or the difficulty level of your school curriculum, and also class rank if your school releases that information. This is the first thing that the colleges will consider while evaluating your application. The next thing that most colleges will consider is your test scores. It could be the SAT or it could be the ACT. Now, I want to mention here, since the COVID pandemic, the emphasis on test scores has definitely reduced. Many colleges are going for test optional, or even some, like for example, the University of California system is completely test blind. In spite of that, if you are choosing to submit your scores, colleges will definitely take a look at it. They will still consider it. But if you don't submit your scores, you're, at least for the test optional colleges, you're not at a loss. Okay. And then the next major component is your extracurricular activities. And it is also the most talked about component. And the extracurricular activities will include everything that you do apart from studying. Okay. So this can include your school extracurricular activities like clubs, or it can include your sports involvement, it can include community service, and it can also include a hobby that you pursue in an organized way. So extracurricular activity section is pretty much everything else that you're doing outside of your academics. So these are the broad components of your profile. This is what we all know, right? Now, what can we do in these areas? So this is, consider this the first step. Okay, now that you know about the main components of your application, we have to consider what you can do in these areas to sort of improve your profile or take it to the next level. For example, in terms of your academics, you can consider academic enrichment. um, Many big universities like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, and many others, they have a lot of free online courses on a variety of subjects, ranging from basics of molecular biology or also to ethical hacking. So, these classes are fun. They are structured in a very organized manner, and they are great classes to take. And some of these courses are also free, so you can just kind of explore taking up these programs. You can explore your interests, and in a lot of the cases, this also triggers some curiosity in a specific area, and then you might, end up taking that course in your undergrad years or even in grad school. So this is just, it'll give you a good foundation, and you will understand what a college class can look like. Another thing that you can do is explore your local community colleges, explore local college classes. That's another thing that you can do over the summer. So this is something that you can do to contribute towards your academics. Okay, this is step one. In terms of your test scores, if you want to improve your profile, you can, if you're not happy with your test scores, you can retake those tests. Okay. And here I want to just clarify a few myths. You do not have to take both the SAT and the ACT. If you take one, whichever one you do, that's good enough. Colleges will not discriminate between the two tests. Okay. If you take more attempts, it does not look bad on your application. Okay. And you will always have the option to send in the scores that you want to. In terms of your SAT and your ACT, a lot of the universities and colleges will super score your test scores. So that kind of works in your favor, but some might not. Okay, so that is something definitely that you can look at. And having said that, I recommend that 2 attempts should be good enough when it comes to standardized tests. You can you can save time and streamline your prep. If you're trying to improve your score, just streamline your prep by hiring professionals if you want to. Professional tutors, professional SAT prep courses will help take the guesswork out of your prep. So, and we also have a one-on-one test prep program, mainly over the summer for rising juniors. That's when we recommend students to take the SAT at the end of sophomore year, just before junior year starts. And I mean, feel free to schedule a trial strategy session with one of our instructors and see how effective our methods really are. So if you want to take the test again, by all means, feel free to do it. That is another thing that you can do to improve your college applications. Next is the extracurriculars. In the previous parts of the series, I have talked in great detail about how it is always quality over quantity, and streamlining your activities as you enter high school is very, very important. And as you're doing that, take up leadership roles, take up initiative with whatever extracurricular activities that you're involved in to improve your profile, to improve your college application. So definitely you must try to streamline. Too many activities just means that you're not able to commit effectively to all of them, right? We're all humans. So definitely pick something that you like to do. Okay, a few activities that you like to do, and streamline that, and then take up leadership roles in those activities. So up until now, we discussed broadly what are the components of your college profile. And this is an initial way to just sort of improve your college application. So consider this step one. So what you can do, and then to stretch it out, what can you further do? Now we've discussed all the general information, we've addressed that. Let's talk about ways to really up-level your application. So in the next part of this presentation, I am going to talk about the many ways that you can up-level your application based on, your areas of interest. So here I am going to talk about ways to up level your application. These categories will include supercurriculars. How can you go beyond your regular extracurricular activities to stand out as an applicant? The next thing that we will talk about is summer programs. What are the right summer programs to get involved in? How to find them? What is the right resource? When is the timeline? All of these details I am going to talk about in the next parts of this presentation. The next thing, letters of recommendation. This is a very ignored but important nonetheless part of your profile. Now, your letters of recommendation will come from a number of sources. So it's very important for you to make those relationships now when you're still, starting high school. Maybe you're a freshman or you're a sophomore. So who are going to be writing your letters of recommendation? How this whole system works, and when is a good time to make that request? We are going to talk about those things. So, guidance counselors, high school teachers, and additional mentors are typically writing your letters of recommendation. I am going to explain how to go about it in a strategic manner. And the last and the culminating part of your college application will be your college essays. This is your chance to show your true self and personality. So I'm going to touch a few points on what you can keep in mind and how you can document your experiences now so that you can talk about them later when you have to actually write those college essays. So this is what we're going to be talking about with regards to standing out as an applicant in your college profile. The first category is supercurriculars. Now, why we're calling them supercurriculars? Because they are slightly a notch above your regular extracurricular activities. And they will need more time and involvement and more critical thinking, getting more creative as compared to your regular extracurricular activities. Um, so, some of these extracurricular activities can typically include you can have your own small business, entrepreneurship, a small business, a startup, or even social entrepreneurship, wherein, if you can initiate a nonprofit or get associated with one and actively participate, that is something that you can do. Or if you're really passionate about a certain subject and you have contacts with some experts, then you can host or organize your own podcast. You can organize your own TEDx event, which falls for high school students. It falls under the category of a youth TEDx event, and it can be locally organized. It can also be organized along with your high school's help. And on the podcast or all that TEDx event, please feel free to invite people you admire, talk to them, make it like a talk show, make it interactive. And this is a win for you because you're learning how to organize a big event. It is a win for the people who will be your audience. They are going to learn so many things. And it will be a win for other people who are going to feature on it because they get to share their message, they get to share that information to a big group of people. The next thing that you can do, you can write a book. if you're really interested in a certain subject, or if you have a great imagination, you can write a fiction novel. You can also write a blog. You can, if you're a designer, or if you're a painter, or if you're into ceramics, anything creative, you can definitely build your own portfolio. There are a bunch of platforms which make it very easy for you now to get started with a book or a blog or a portfolio. If you are unsure of how to get started with writing a book or a blog, you can start with your small newsletters. Even for your school, you can start writing for your school magazine, or you can approach local magazines. You can shadow professionals. Maybe you can, if you're really into photography, you can shadow professional photographers, and just kind of build from there and get started with your portfolio. The next thing is, a lot of the third parties, they host a number of competitions and contests. Now, we know the most popular contests are the hackathons, that are aimed to students interested in coding, etc. But there are many other competitions. For example, the Builds Design Challenge. Then Kaggle is another platform, it's a very popular platform, and they even give out cash prizes if you're participating or if you're winning their competition. So, this is just a brief overview of what you can do. These are just a few ideas. You can get involved with entrepreneurship. You can start a podcast, a TEDx event, a book, a blog, or your own portfolio, or participate in these competitions. These are some of the things that you can do to up level your application, to up level your profile. Now, this doesn't mean that we will get involved in these activities just because I said so, or just because we feel that the admissions will look at your profile and be very impressed because you're doing these things. I do not mean to say you have to get involved with something just for the sake of getting into a college. Okay. If you're really passionate about something like this, definitely go for it. A lot of the times, students they're very talented, creative, but they don't know where to begin. That's where, a mentor like myself can really help them to understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how they can really project their creativity to the rest of the world, and especially on their college application. So these are some ideas that you can participate in. The next thing, and very, very popular these days, is a research internship. Okay. So, in terms of a research internship, what you can do is, of course, the research 101, all the basics of a successful research, or just getting started with these basics of research. You can initiate your own independent project. It can be, and of course, along the way, learn all the tools which will be required to successfully carry out that project, and also write about it. So, you might need some basics of coding, machine learning, AI, etc. Or you might need data analysis tools. Or, of course, when you are done with your project, and if you decide to publish, then you will need to know the tools which are going to help you with scientific writing and communication, of course, research papers and conference posters, etc. So these are some things that you can do. And because I've been, getting a lot of these questions, so here is what we can do to help you successfully perform your own research project. So yeah, we have our own research internship services, wherein we help to brainstorm ideas with you. We bring in scientific collaboration based on your project. So the relevant scientific collaboration, we will put you in touch with them. And we are going to make one or more fun projects from your idea, from your main idea, so that every summer or every winter break, spring break, whatever time you have, you can build in small extensions of your basic idea, your initial idea. You can build these fun extensions of it. And I'll tell you why. If it's a very big research project that will end in 2 years, it is very easy to lose motivation along the way, because you're going to see these results 2 years, who knows what will happen, right? So if you're just building it in stages, if you're carrying out that idea in tiny stages, making it fun along the way, so not only will you be motivated, you will also be accountable for your progress. And when you see these results every few months or so, you will at least understand the big picture. You will know where you're going, the direction that you are taking with these projects. You can make it a team effort, you can make it an independent effort. It's up to you. And then, of course, finally, we help you with the publication and presentation of that research project of yours, depending on the kind of project. And many schools offer AP capstone also, which is essentially your own project. It can be a research project, it can be a non-research project. So it can be a quantitative uh, topic, it can be a qualitative topic. So, and of course, this is a AP capstone is a 2-year program. And at the end of those 2 years, you are going to be presenting your findings. So that is something else that we help with, which overlaps with your research internship. So if you're doing something like this, you can consider taking up AP capstone also. So this is something that you can do. And the results of the poll, I just, segue a little bit. The results of the polls are here. This time we have, we have dominant population interested in medicine and other STEM, and definitely we have some interest for business. And a majority of you are or parents, freshman students or their parents are joining us. Then the next thing, we have juniors, and we have some sophomores and very few seniors. So that's awesome. I welcome you all. And I hope you can find the answers to many of your questions in this session. If there is something else, please leave your questions in the Q&A section. Okay, and so coming back, I just want to, say that this is what we can do to help you with respect to your super-curriculars, the research internship. The next, so we had talked about a few categories. The first was super-curriculars. The next category that we will talk about is your letters of recommendation. Now, if you were present for the last part 2 of the webinar, um, we shared a few templates about how to request for a letter of recommendation, and how to, prepare like a comprehensive information document wherein all of your activities, everything else that you're doing, you're interested in, is recorded in one document, so that it'll be very easy to share with your mentors or whoever's writing your recommendations, and they will have all of the information that they will need to answer questions about you in your letter of recommendations. So broadly, they will be related to your knowledge, your skills, your ability, your character, and your values. So typically, um, letters of recommendation have questions related to your knowledge about certain subjects, your skills, meaning your abilities beyond your studies. They will talk about your value system, what are the things that you really care about, your character, your moral qualities, and your level of expertise or your ability in the things that you do. I want to talk about a FERPA term here, which some of you might be familiar with, so others might not be familiar with it. So FERPA is like, this is essentially that it means that when somebody else, for example, a recommendee is sending in your letter of recommendation, you are not, this information is about you. So, but you are waiving your right to view that information. So if you waive those rights, if you sign up that FERPA waiver, then you're essentially telling colleges that you have no control over the stuff that's been written about you in the letter of recommendation. And even though this information is about you, it's completely confidential, so that colleges will know that this is completely honest and there is no tampering with the information in that letter of recommendation. So that is something that you must keep in mind, that you're not going to get a chance to look at what a letter of recommendation says about you. So that is why it is very important that you give them all of that information before they are submitting. Okay, so they will have an overall overview of what you're doing. Many times it happens that in our essays we're writing all of these brilliant things. Oh, we have we are a chapter head of a certain nonprofit, or I have my own nonprofit, or I have a podcast. Many amazing things that the student could be doing outside of school, but the teachers or the guidance counselor may not be completely aware of those things. So that is why it's very important that you give them this information ahead of time. It is also important to ask them in a timely manner, that, when you're requesting your letter of recommendations. I have seen in many schools, high school teachers have an upper limit or a cap to how many students they're going to be writing for. So let's say you're doing very, very well in physics or math, and you request your physics teacher, but you're late. Maybe she's already reached that cap of students or the upper limit of students who she's going to be writing for. So we don't want that to happen. Ask them ahead of time, and you can gently request if they would need that document of all that information about you. Most teachers will be very glad to receive it, because if you are a very good student, if you're doing well, they want you to end up in a good school or a good college. So they will write good stuff about you, but they have to know it. So gently just talk to them, ask them if you can share that information. And yeah, so that is very important to think about your letters of recommendation. Some schools will also accept letters of recommendation from an additional person outside of your school. So if you're involved in research internships, if you're doing a summer job, or if you're doing a research project, your mentors for those projects or at that job can also write about you. Again, just make sure they have all of your information. They would need to know what you're doing at school, what subjects you have, and what classes you're taking, and everything else. Many schools will accept that also. When it comes to the kind of in order of importance for these letters of recommendation, traditionally colleges consider the guidance counselor letter of recommendation right at the top. Please maintain a good relationship with your guidance counselors. As soon as you enter high school, meet them and talk to them. Keep them posted about your plans. Now, I understand in very big public school systems, it's not possible, and big schools will typically have maybe 2 to 3 guidance counselors for a whole batch of students. It could be hard, but find ways to communicate about the updates that you have, and please keep them in the loop of all of your achievements and awards, etc. So that is very important. And the next is your letters of recommendation through your high school teachers. Some schools are very specific. They'll tell you, okay, we need one from a STEM teacher, we need one from an arts or a language teacher. This is very important, and a lot of students, they ignore this part, and then the letters of recommendation do not match what you're writing in your essays, and it's a mess. um So very, very important. The next aspect of your college profile is your college essays. That's your space of sharing your experiences. And essentially, that is the space where you're really talking about yourself. Your personality shines through your college essays. So, the colleges will ask you about your values, your experience, and what failure means to you, all of those things. So, the there is one essay that is the main essay, which is on the Common App. It's also known as your personal statement. There is a set of 6 prompts that you need to answer when you're writing that essay. That essay will be submitted to all of the colleges or schools that you're applying to through the Common App. Apart from that, there is also a bunch of essays that each specific college will ask you to write. Those are known as your supplemental essays. So those supplemental essays will be about your values, your experience, your interests, whether it's academic, extracurricular. They will ask you about failure. They will ask you about what success means to you. And the questions are very specific, and there is a word limit. The word limit can range from anywhere between 150 words to 5,000 characters. So about 500 words to 600 words. You will be sharing your details or really talking about yourself in these college essays. So very, very important to document any information or any significant experiences as soon as you enter high school. And I am going to talk about how you can document towards the end of this presentation. But our college essay workshops, I just want to quickly mention, they start beginning of July. And that's all a one-on-one workshop with students, wherein initially we give you all the tools of writing. So my workshop will start with just essential tools of becoming a good writer, and really being able to write and express effectively. And then from there, we move on to writing your personal statement, followed by writing your supplemental. So I have talked about the timeline for doing that in my previous 2 parts of the webinar, but I just wanted to quickly mention what our college essay workshops will look like. We start accepting applications for the summer towards the end of March, and by mid-April, we close the signups, and then July first week, the workshop starts. So that is my timeline for you. The next thing I want to talk about is the summer programs. Again, it is a buzzword right now because a lot of the summer programs are opening their applications, and I am getting tons and tons of questions about these summer programs. There are 2 types of summer programs. There are some that are more selective, then there are some that are less selective. I always promote, or I always recommend, that you should go for the highly selective programs. They will always have a set of application requirements that you need to fulfill. It could be a test score, it could be um, a small essay, it could be 1 or more letters of recommendation, it could also be a set of problems that you have to solve, especially if it's a math program, and things like that. And you might have to, give a statement of purpose, talk about yourself. Those are the ones that you really want to look at. A lot of these programs are free. Some can be less expensive, but there will be a small fee for getting into those programs. And many will actually offer you a stipend for getting enrolled with that program for the duration of the program. So definitely check those out. We will actively share more information about these programs on our Discord channel. The next type of programs are the very less selective ones, wherein you just fill in your details and you're accepted. Those programs are typically very expensive, and that is essentially just a rotation of different areas of interest. These programs may not even actually be um, taught by the college faculty. So a lot of um, third parties will take up those programs. It's just being advertised at a certain university. So you want to be aware of these things uh, when you're signing up. So a few examples in terms of summer programs are, in terms of the highly selective ones, are the SIMR program that's at Stanford, the NIH programs. Then there is a Penn State program by their School of Business. The applications are currently open. And then there is a Cisco summer internship or externship, which are some of the popular summer programs. And among the less selective ones, there are many by big universities. These are just a few examples. They will be termed as pre-college programs, but you definitely want to check out the fine print. Some pre-college programs are actually very good. And some of them are just like I said, it's a rotation of all the different classes and not really taught by actual university faculty. So these are some of them. Um, I'm and we will continue to post more such programs in the Discord channel. So far, we've talked about your super curriculars. We've talked about what your letters of recommendation should look like. We've talked about what you need to write about in your essays. And finally, now the summer program. These are some things that you must keep in mind if you're in high school right now and if you're looking to get into a great college and stand out in your application when you're applying. I want to quickly share a student case study. Um, this student was with us through the entire high school. In terms of his GPA was a 4.7. He took 6 APs. His test score was 1550. And then in terms of his extracurriculars, he was a varsity tennis captain, varsity soccer. He was the president of the National Honor Society. He participated in debates. He was also a member of a concert band. So this was what he was doing in general, with respect to the three broad categories we discussed in the beginning. And here's how we helped him when he joined us. In terms of supercurriculars, we helped him get a research publication in the Journal of Emerging Investigators. He won a hackathon. He was winner of the National Science League. He was a summer intern at Cisco Systems. And he was accepted to many universities. The student was not rejected in any of his applications. And his top choices were Georgia Tech, UIUC, and the USC, University of Southern California. This is his overall profile and what were the components of his application, apart from the essays, of course. Now, when I share this information, this is not a template to blindly follow. Okay, this can be used as a reference guide. Each year, the priorities for colleges are changing. Like, what are they going to give more weight to, or they are going to consider more? That changes, and every application is different. Every student has their own academic journey. This is some information that we just put out there. You can use it for reference instead of using it like a template. If you're doing a few or more of these things, consider that you're going in the right direction. But of course, it also depends on what your letters of recommendation look like, and it also depends on what your essays will look like on top of these things. Everything is going to count towards your final acceptances. Now that we've shared this information, we are coming closer to the end of today's session, and the key takeaways are, you have to focus on your academics. I've talked about this a lot more in detail in my other two parts of the webinar. You must take summer programs. The more selective it is, the better for you. Letter of recommendations are very important. Your college essay is very important. And then finally, your super curriculars also add up to the whole process and to the whole application profile. Moving on, I just want to quickly summarize how we can help you in this process. So my services, we will provide end-to-end solution for all of your application needs, right from building your profile, um, deciding a summer program and an internship or your own project. It could be anything. So, and then from building your college list to writing your essays and finally applying. And also, a lot of universities will have interviews, so we will help you with that. So, our essay writing workshops are very extensive, our interview prep is very extensive. We will take care of all of the updates for you and keep you informed. Tons and tons of resources, and you will get one-on-one attention. My workshops are for very small groups, about 10 to 15 students each year, and the whole process is very tailor made, very customized for you. Just quickly glancing at some of the universities where our students have been accepted. We've not added the list for this year because the results are still coming in, so obviously this list is going to expand, but we've had a majority of our students accepted at these places, many more to come. Typically, this is our SAT score range and our ACT score range, 1540 being the average SAT score with students who've prepped with us. And at least, so if you are, if you've taken the SAT before, if let us assist you, then your SAT score definitely improves. Average 150. This average is calculated with students who did not have professional help the first time they took the SAT, and then they joined here, and then they got all the help that they needed. So that is an average 150 point of increase. ACT score, again, an average increase of 8 points. We have AMC qualifiers. 90% of my students qualify AMC and get to participate in the AIMEs, which is an invitation-only mathematics competition. We have 2 teams for Math Olympiads, and 90% of my students are, they are the top of the country in terms of Math Olympiad. I also have a Math Kangaroo team, and Math Kangaroo is next month. So we'll see what happens this year. But yeah, great teams. Our students are doing an amazing job, which means that our prep is very effective. My instructors really, really spend time and energy working with each student depending on their specific needs. On an average, our students mostly get 4 or 5 on their AP exams. You can, feel free to browse our website after this presentation. For those of you who had sent in questions to us before the webinars were announced, so before we started webinars, and I answered some of those questions in each of my sessions. Today, I'm going to be talking about these questions and answering them. And these questions are from you. And then I will also take up more questions that are in the Q&A. Okay. Apart from academics, what would be added value? So added value will be everything that I just talked about in this session today. Then research paper publishing. Should this be an individual paper or a group holds the same value? When it comes to research paper publishing, you have to understand what tier of the paper they're applying to or they're writing for. If it's a high school paper, then obviously the student's name is the first author and the names of the mentors are specified in the paper. But if, let's say, you're working with a research lab in a university or maybe a hospital, then if they have, it's a group project, if they have published something and you happen to be a contributor to that research, then your name will be there on that paper, but it may not necessarily be a first author paper. Okay, first author papers are really, really hard, even for well established scientists. Okay, it takes a lot of hard work, and in some fields it's years and years of work. So even if you have been included in a group that has published a successful paper, it counts. Everything counts. And the student, as a student, you just have to take ownership of what your contribution was to that paper. Okay, so that is something that the student has to understand, that this is what they did for the research paper. Is there anything else similar that they can do on their own? That is the takeaway from research publishing. Which scholarships are applicable? Um, so if you're the citizens of United States, of course, they are eligible for all of those federal scholarships, but there are many third-party scholarships that are applicable through the year, through the months. We have some resources which will enlist all of the scholarships, and those resources are segregated month wise. I will be happy to share the links where you can get those resources, and we post a lot of this information even in the Discord channel. So if you're not on it, please join. Ask questions. My goal is to make it an engaging community. Ask questions. We will actively try to answer and resolve your doubts, if any. Um, so many scholarships are available. This question is very interesting. The next one: if a student's only extracurricular was a sport and not a potential to be recruited, meaning they are not probably playing at a varsity level or division one, I mean, all of those divisions, how does it affect his extracurricular activities? Now, if you're trying to say that they're not doing anything else, not even a hobby that they would like to explore more or anything else, what are the reasons of not doing anything else? It could be anything. It could be a specific health challenge. It could be that they had a lot of academic load that was hard for them to manage. They had to drop off extracurricular activities, or maybe the sports involvement led to an injury. Maybe they were busy taking care of a family member or younger sibling, anything like that. What are the underlying reasons of not taking up other extracurricular activities? Those are the things that will matter at this point, the reasons. And then, I can maybe yes, make more recommendations on what to do in this situation. But yeah, colleges will look at your overall situation when it comes to doing activities outside of school, the reasons for doing that. And there is a specific section in the application portal where you can really talk about these things. Do you suggest continuing in concert band until 12th grade? Um, I know marching bands, concert bands are very, very popular, but I have to say it depends on your involvement. Um, whe- when you decide to continue or quit a certain activity, the only question that you should ask is the reason for dropping that activity. It is possible that your academic load is not allowing you to continue, which is a valid reason. I mean, we're all human beings. But continuing with some activities may not directly influence your acceptance. They are definitely character building exercises for you. They give some depth to your personality. If so, you cannot do everything just to highlight it on your college application. Some activities may not really be important. They may not be contributing that much, but the lessons that you learned will definitely be very useful for you. And the community that you have, I know band communities are very tight knit and they stand for each other, they help each other. So that is something also that you will get to talk about or write about. Everything cannot be contributing to the college application or your college acceptance. Okay, so these were my questions, whatever I received from all of you. There are some here in the Q&A section, and I will quickly answer them. What are the best extracurriculars and internships that would help for kids interested in finance? I hope I answered that a little bit. They can do anything. They can, get involved with entrepreneurship. They can get involved with social entrepreneurship. See if local offices or local businesses will hire them, just to um, either to shadow them or, do small tasks like maintain their accounts or, just get to learn about them or work on some parts of the business if that is possible. So intern with the business or get involved with social entrepreneurship. You can get involved with small businesses, entrepreneurship, start your own business if you have some idea. That is something that you can do. How much weightage is for recommendation letters? Great deal of weightage. And I've definitely talked more about these recommendation letters. Um, does it matter if we get a recommendation from a ninth grade teacher? Does it have to be from a more recent teacher? Now, to answer this question, recent teacher obviously is a better choice. But if your recent teachers don't know you so well, maybe they are a new teacher in your school, but your ninth grade teacher knows you very well, so she will be able to talk more about you, right? So in that case, if it's a new teacher, or maybe you don't have such a relationship with your recent teachers, it's okay to get a letter from your ninth grade teacher. They typically need a high school teacher to write your letters of recommendation. It doesn't matter if it's a ninth grade, as long as they really know you well. That's the important part. How do we know which pre-college program is good? I hope I answered that just now. The ones that are more selective, they have some application requirements and they have some eligibility requirements. Those are the ones that you should be applying to. Apply to more of them so that your chances of being accepted increases. Are you a college mentor? Yes, I am. You can connect with us through our website. We have a system where you can schedule a consultation with us, and I'll just share those links and information in the chat. Um, Recently, we've been experiencing a lot of traffic and a lot of bookings on that consultation page. So any dates that are opening up are getting filled very fast. But today, after the webinar session, I am going to be opening more slots. Definitely stay tuned, check it out, and you will also find more information in your follow-up email on how you can do it. If not doing a sport issue for the no, not doing a sports activity, contrary to popular belief, it's okay. It doesn't look bad on your college profile. If you're not into sports, you're not into sports. At least you're being honest about it. It's okay. Um, then are there any practice digital SAT in Northern Virginia that kids can take? I'm not sure about the exact location since I don't live in Northern Virginia. Um, Digital SAT, you can definitely look at the College Board website. They have a lot of practice material, which is called the Blue Book. Take those. Those are like the templates for the SAT. That can be a good place to start off with. Um, I have some very exciting announcement to make. In the previous sessions, I also talked about our digital planners. So our digital planners are ready for launch. And we are also giving away some discount codes to people who are attending this webinar today. So this is a quick, sort of a screenshot of what the planner looks like. It is 4 years of your high school all organized so that you can have a very successful college application. So it has monthly checklists, uh, in divided as per your year. So if you're a freshman in high school, what you need to do in the month of January, March, April, and so on. Then it has a section wherein, you can choose your list of colleges and track them. We've also attached a spreadsheet template into it where you can just track your information. That's also part of the planner. It has a habit tracker. It has check-in sections where you can talk about your experiences, document them, section for awards and honor. So this is a, like a a small screenshot of what are the components of the digital planner. It's great. We've put a lot of hard work building this planner and just organizing information. And this is a digital version, so you can download it like an app, or you can have it on your desktop also. It's a great template. Definitely, we've put in a lot of hard work. Alongside, I was also having, previously we had a physical version of the same academic planner. Currently we're accepting pre-orders for this. These are the sections of the physical planner. Again, there is a section to keep track of all of your activities. There is a section to keep track of all of the tasks that you're committing to. What are the things that a college will look at in terms of your profile. And there is a brief section to kind of document your journey and your experiences as you're going through high school. So these are also available for pre-order. Very popular planners, they get sold out very fast. We will share all of this information along with a specific discount code for the attendees of this webinar only. And so definitely stay tuned for that follow-up email. The email will come from support@onlinechalk.com. That's my company's name. So definitely check your spam folders, because last time it happened that many of you were not able to receive this information because it was in the spam. After every webinar session, we are sending out some resources. We are sending out the recording of the session, and any updates that we feel will be useful for you. Please check your spam folders, and we will share everything with you. And yeah, so um, okay, so I just want to thank you for being here with me today.